What's up, YouTube? Dealing with customers sometimes is a real pain in the ass. So we have a Hyundai Santa Fe on the lift that his exhaust is loud. I bring the job in. I noticed that a front pipe was installed not long ago. If I could find the worst rusted away front pipe bolts that they reused to do the job, I could go out in my scrap bin on the ground that I throw out, that they put on there. The exhaust system that they clamped on slid off in the back, and there was a shield rattling. So I told the customer I need to fix the disconnected part of the exhaust system first and remove the shield in the back, and then run the car to see the V6Y pipe. I already see the bolts are stacked with washers. There's no bolts. The one flange isn't tight. If that's leaking or not, I can't really tell. So he commits to a dollar amount to get the car quieter so I can evaluate the last shop's work. And then he said, well, I want to see under the car. I'm like, nah, I'll send you pictures. I mean, it's pretty obvious that your exhaust systems is disconnected and extremely loud. What do you really need to see at this point? I'll send you pictures of the front pipe work. So he agrees to do that part of it. And then, as I suspected, after I made the repairs to the disconnected exhaust, the front pipe is a complete train wreck job that was done. So I already know that it's going to need all new hardware. I don't know if that aftermarket front pipe is even made properly, or if the aftermarket manifold converter is made properly. Hence all the problems that the installer had when he installed it and sent it on the road. So the guy's like, well, you know, what's it going to take to fix it? I said, well, I need to start at $240 for gaskets and hardware. And I said, I assure you there's going to be more problems with it than we know. And then he says, well, how much can it be? I said, I don't have an answer for you. It's $240 for us to get into it. And if it's just gaskets and hardware, that's all it's going to be. But what if it's more? I won't know that answer until you commit to me getting into the job. So give me a price. Give me a price. I'm not getting locked into the price. And this guy's a contractor working out of his car. So he knows the game. And so do I. Come on. So he's back and forth with Rachel, back and forth with Rachel. You know, he already started at 110 to fix up what the other shop screwed up. Not including the front pipe issues, which I said I'm not going to do anything with that until I can confirm that their work is leaking. So I told Rachel, I said, I don't have an answer. The pipe could be made wrong, the converter could be made wrong. I really don't have any answers. I know that the installer double stacked the bolts with shims and washers, and there's no bolt heads left on there. Both, now I can see both are loose because it's hidden up under a shield. So it's leaking. So I tell Rachel, all right, well, he's got to start at $240. Now the guy is trying to lock us into a price to fix his car. And I was like, I don't know. He just kept demanding us to give him a maximum amount of price. I don't want to give a maximum amount of price for unknowns. And I told Rachel, I said, he's a contractor. I said, he's not going to open a wall for free for a customer to find out what's behind it, right? So that's going to cost. So, okay, Mr. Customer, how much are you going to open this wall to tell me how much water or termite damage or plumbing damage is going on? Well, that's going to cost this just to open the wall. And then if you want the wall closed up, it's going to cost you this. So my $240 would be that. So you came in with a leak, you're going to leave with the leak. He's like, well, at least if I open the wall, I could see what I have to deal with. That's bullshit. That is complete bullshit. If you open a wall and you find termite damage here and there, and you only open a small section of the wall, how much more of the wall do you need to open to really figure out what's wrong with the house, right? So he didn't want to commit to, we were on to what he was saying, that he's a contractor and he knows what I was saying is, if you're going to open a wall and you're just taking a peek inside, it could only just be that section that's a problem. But if you don't open the entire wall, you're never going to know what it's going to truly cost to fix the job. On top of him getting into, all right, well, I see rot here and green crusties on your plumbing, and the last guy did the wiring wrong, and the foundation's got a crack here. Once he starts pulling things out, more shit can happen. And that was my point to this guy. It's like $240 is to get us in and out if it's a clean job. If it's not, I don't know until I take it completely apart and see, do you have a improperly made product on your car or two products? Can't tell you any of that until I get it apart. So at this point, I'm like, for the $350, I said, this conversation's over. I'm not going to tell the guy it could be 3,000 or 1,500 when I don't have a true answer, and that's in all fairness to him. Nor would I ever tell somebody that, hey, now you have to give me $3,000 to fix your car. I would just say, hey, I'll put your car back together the way it was. Pay me for the $240, and there's no fixing this crap. And if you can't afford it, that's a you problem, not a me problem. And that's the truth, right? Take it apart. I can't just put gaskets and hardware in it. Now this is what I could tell you. It needs just a new front pipe, or it needs a new front pipe and converter. Or I need to take this pipe down and cut the flanges off, make it work. I don't have those answers until you give me an opportunity to get into it. And giving you an astronomical price before I get started is stupid. So why would I even do that?
Yeah.
So at this point, I declined any more work on this guy's car and backed it out. It's too much aggravation for the job at hand. Someone screwed it up. It's not right, and then I'm not even asking a whole lot to fix the car, and it could have just been fixed for $240. I just backed it out. I said, we're done. Pay us for what we did and go someplace else and let them. Because I assure you, I'm going to tell you this. He's not going to find another shop that has the experience I do with the exhaust system anywhere around here. They'll pull that down, put new nuts, bolts, and gaskets in it. In 6 months or less, they'll have leaks again if they don't identify the true cause of why those flanges aren't sealing. And I already kind of know what it is. So he can go someplace else and do that. And I know for a fact our major competition charges $150 for one gasket. And remember Dylan's friend that came in with the Explorer? And he went there, and it was a converter flange.
I wasn't here.
So he came back with an estimate from Penn Muffler and said it was $150 for a gasket. I was like, I will do that for $90 for you. It's so simple. $150 for one little gasket in an easy location. So what do you think they're going to charge him for that? $200-$300 or more, right? If they can even get it right the first time. So I just said, it's just not worth the aggravation. But I wanted to tell you another story. So why I was at Cherry Hill Nissan yesterday. Cherry Hill Nissan is where we pick up our parts. And you were doing a mass airflow sensor and intake boot. There was an older woman like yourself. She was an older woman, she was nowhere like the lovely Sierra. What are you showing me? Yeah, it's time for an oil change. So tell Rachel it's time to change the oil and filter and use better oil. Yeah, I'll say slow. And then the oxygen sensor's here, so you have to get the codes out of the system and then ask Rachel what position it's going into. And I'm a people watcher. Excuse me. I was at the parts counter for at least 10 minutes buzzing the bell, bzz, 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 while people could see me in the parts department walking around like zombies. Bzz, 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 bzz. Finally, dude shows up, doesn't even know anything. I see my parts sit on the counter. I said, yeah, that's for me, Meineke. He just had this gaze look in his eyes and said, pay. I was like, I know the routine. But there was a line of people paying for, I guess, oil changes. And you know what? Their whole waiting room was like dead silence, quiet. Nobody was talking. There was no clatter. There was nothing.
Their waiting room is. There's a
but hold on.
TV or two.
Is that because they're listening to, or they're waiting for the bad news to be delivered from
Probably that one.
the service writer?
Probably waiting for bad news.
Waiting for bad news. It was dead silence in there. And if I would have dropped a piece of glass and it broke, they would all piss their pants. That was the vibe in there. So there's a lady who's paying for a car, and I think it was just an oil change. And the lady says it's going to be, I don't know, $95. And she's like, I don't pay that for an oil change. She goes, well, didn't you authorize replacement of your battery and your key? She's like, no. She's like, oh, well, they did that job. She's like, well, I didn't authorize. I would have liked to known that you're putting a battery in my key fob. So he goes, on the technician's notes, it says, starting the car, low battery and key detected. Nissans do that, right? So she's like, well, let me call the service manager or the service writer up here, and I'll get them to take it off. So then, she's mumbling about, you should have told me, I didn't authorize it. And the lady's like, well, it's a safety thing. Now she's trying to use the safety thing to Jedi mind trick this customer into saying that it's okay to charge you for services that you didn't authorize. So this is what she says. It's a safety thing. She goes, it's a safety thing. Your car wouldn't start. She's like, my car started when I brought it in here. And this lady's 100% right. So they went back and forth. She goes, well, what happens when your car doesn't start? She goes, but my car started when I brought it in here. So you know what that lady did? She paid, and she wasn't happy, but she paid the bill.
at Miller, a lot of the time, if like we're running into a bunch of problems once we actually get into something, say we get like a $2,000 job approved, we're getting into it, and then we have like another $200 charge, and then we have something small that's like 50.
You never know what's going on.
Well, we'll charge them for that $200 thing, like, but then we'll eat that small $50 charge.
Yeah, that's not how that goes. Not how you're supposed to do that. Your service writer should call your customer back and say, hey, there's something else that's a problem. Don't run the car anywhere with no oil in it. Key on, engine off.
Smell that?
I'm not kidding. So I watched that go down. And this is why even all my regular customers, if they come in here and it's just an oil change, we do absolutely nothing more than just an oil change without that customer's approval. Customers I've been servicing for 18 years, we have customers come in here and just say, fix it. My in-house policy is we absolutely do nothing to your car unless you have prior knowledge of where we're going to start or what it's going to cost. And some jobs are cut and dry and some jobs are not. And just like this guy, hey, I need to start here, dude. I'm not going to guess at what the maximums could be. This is where I need to go, and whatever it is through the process. This isn't a nightmare job that was done someplace else. And he's a contractor. He knows what that's all about. He's played the game. He's had consumers play the game with him. And there's no doubt in my mind. He's an older dude and he's been around for a while. So, yeah. It just wasn't getting into it with him. So, if he leaves a bad review, it is what it is. The guy wouldn't give me a price on a job another shop screwed up until he got it apart and looked at it. And rightfully so. You wouldn't even commit to that. So, but yeah, I watched that at the dealership go down, but the dead silence. And there had to been, Caleb, 15 employees running around in this area.
Yep.
And at least 10 to 15 customers in altogether. Dead silence. So, and you said at Miller it was the same way? They're all waiting for bad news.
Yep, I mean, there's TV, and then they have a couple of couches.
Same shit. It's cozy, it's comfortable.
Yeah, the coffee maker.
Yeah. Until they come out and say, yeah, you need a new car, or it's not under warranty.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that type. I was waiting for some type of experience like that. What do you mean? I just bought this car and it's not under warranty. No mess.
Now, Ford, everything's under warranty. Everything's under recall. Everything blows up before it's out of warranty.
Oh my god.
My last 2 weeks there, we had at least 2 cars come in, 10 miles, bad motors right out of the box.
That's nuts.
From scored cylinder walls. And then the one had a stuck injector. Locked the motor up. Or it didn't have a stuck injector at first. The motor just started knocking out of nowhere. 10 miles on it. So then they brought it in. Guy did a motor on it. Went to start it. Injector stuck open. Hydrolocked the motor with the brand new motor. So then he had to put another new motor in it.
And see, and then you guys out there say that all I do is buy junk parts. Junk parts start right at the dealerships too. Mm-hmm. But yeah, my policy here is we do almost absolutely nothing. Even for my friends or neighbors, like that we do work. Here's my neighbor's car up here. Hey dude, this is what it's going to cost to fix these problems that I see right now. And if there was anything else, hey Maurizio, hey man, another hose broke, or this bolt broke, it's not my fault, it's your car, I'm just taking things apart here, it's going to cost you more money. And that's just the way it goes. Where Caleb said that the dealership was eating additional expenses, I don't have Ford money.
Well, they're also pulling in what we pull in today, they're pulling, or what we pull in a week, they're pulling in more than that every day.
Oh yeah, with 30 lifts and 2 shops, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But if you do $50 times 500 jobs, it's a lot of profit.
Oh yeah.
If paying you to do the job, taking the part off the shelf for free, so I don't feel bad when Ford says they're going bankrupt, or Honda or Kia or any of these guys.
Are awful.
Yeah.
So
my policy is here. We tell you where we need to start, and if it costs more, we're not working on new cars, so you can't expect a miracle. And I used this scenario the other day. Roofer's going to come out to your house and say, yep, you got wind damage, but he's not really going to know what's wrong with your roof until he tears it off. Mm-hmm. So there is that unknown. And some roofers will tell you, hey, if it needs plywood, it's 50 or 80 or 150 now. I don't even know what it is for.
I have no idea.
for a sheet of plywood, right? He's not going to know how much you're really going to need until he tears the whole roof off. So there's unknowns.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to tell you that, hey, that's another $5,000 or $8,000 worth of work when he doesn't know, because he doesn't want to scare you off, and he really doesn't know.
Yeah, the super cheap shit plywood is probably $40-ish.
Right, 40
board.
plus labor, plus he's got to guarantee it, plus all the bullshit. So $150 a sheet is in the neighborhood, times 20 or 30, and then not only that, tears it off and says, oh yeah, I got a rafter that's got rot on the top side here. I can't.
Yeah, it's not.
Right,
I can't do it without replacing the rafter.
I can't fasten that to that. So I need either sister that rotted joint or do it the right way, or double sister. So you can't, your expectations of someone saying it's going to cost this in the end, and then it's not. It's not feasible anymore. It's really not. Especially in shops that are in the Rust Belt, like South Main Auto. I assure you, he has the same policy. Hey, this is what I see, and this is where I'm at. And if that's all it is, that's all it's going to be. But there's so many unknowns, I can't tell you. I don't know how many lines are going to break. I don't know how many suspension bolts are going to fall apart.
Say you're doing a radiator on a European car, everything's flat.
Yeah, I don't know how many hoses are going to break.
The chances of something else breaking are very, very high.
Yeah. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.